everybody. Welcome back to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's our 6th annual end of the year podcast. Can you believe we've been doing this for 6 damn years? That's awesome, man.
No.
And they said it wouldn't last.
No.
Well, it lasts as long as we want to last because we're not getting rich off of this thing.
If you do a podcast and no one listens, is it technically happening?
We lost our sponsorship to Jim's Quick and Easy Lube.
All I can think of is now, cheers. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? How do you know it fell, the coach says.
Does the Pope, does the Pope poop
Maybe
in the
some
woods?
beavers gently laid it down on the ground. Anyway. Our stadiumjourney.com, the new website. Have you checked out the new website? Have you? Huh? It's awesome. You should go check it out if you haven't yet. We are the world leader in sports travel information. We have reviews of over 2,500 stadiums from all around the world. They're not all over to the new site yet, but a whole bunch of them are. We are working hard at that. We are more than just an awesome website. We're an awesome podcast. Connect with us on our social media channels at Stadium Journey. If you're looking for audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast, maybe you want to just listen in your car and you drive into work, go to your search engine for podcasts, type in HIAC Talk Radio Network, wherever you find your favorite podcast. We'll be there. Video simulcast. Say you want to chill out in front of your laptop, hook it up to your TV, whatever, and watch. Look at our smiling, beautiful faces. Watch the podcast. Go to our YouTube page. All the podcasts are there. Years and years and years of them. And if you want to be part of our live studio audience, like I'm sure Gregory is, we record live every other Tuesday night, usually at 7. I was a little late. I apologize for that. At danlaw.tv. So,
How dare you having a life?
Oh, I know.
Oh, the bitch.
What was I doing anyway? I don't remember. Oh, yeah, it was work. Some life. Hey, the gang's all here tonight. We should be all here. We should actually be formal. It's the end of the year episode. Dave Cotney's here. Follow him at ProFan9. This is as formal as we get, guys. T-shirts, sweatshirts. I'm still in my work clothes, so I look better than you. Well, maybe I don't look better, but I'm dressed better. Mark Viquez is here. Find him at Ballpark Hunter. The above-average comedian Dan Colachico's here. Follow him at DanLaw83. And my name's Paul Baker. For those of you who haven't guessed that already by the little name there on the screen, you can follow me at PuckmanRI. So, like I said earlier, this is our end of the year episode. For those of you who are in the peanut gallery, feel free to chime in. We basically break this into 4 segments. We talk about the best game we saw all year. We talk about the favorite venue we visited this year. We talk about the favorite city that we visited. And we talk about what place or game or event surprised us the most, the biggest surprise of the year. So, without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start off with the best game we saw this year. If anybody was in Vegas, you could talk about the Patriots, I guess, and that goofball play they ran.
Oh, made my day a little bit better.
But I digress. Bill Belichick, situational football, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Best game of the year. Dan, what was the best game you went to all year? All right. So I guess Dan's answer is
Did I go to a sporting event this year?
Dan doesn't go to sporting events. It's kind of ironic. He runs a podcast about stadiums.
In 2022, no.
You went to a Genesis show or two, didn't you?
In 2021.
I think you went to a church softball game.
I didn't even go to a church softball game.
Did you go to somebody like projecting Genesis or not Genesis, Ghostbusters Afterlife on the side of a barn or something? Like,
hell no. No, I watched that at home like 80 times. What are you talking about?
All right. Well, anyway,
yeah, no, I really did. I didn't go anywhere. Oh my God.
Sorry, I didn't mean to depress you, Dan.
Jesus.
Keeps to himself.
Well, they were asking. Marissa asked, "We can do the interview in studio, or you want to do it over Zoom?" And for a second, I was like, "I'll drive up there and back."
I'm driving to Philly, baby.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Well, no, I'm going to do that next week. Never mind. I can't do that. I'm too old for that shit." Moving on.
Well, how far
driving?
From where
How old are you, Dan? Too old for driving.
How far are you from Philly?
Dan is the youngest member of the panel, by the way.
I am 39 with knees of a 63-year-old, and that's too far to drive that far back and forth with crappy knees.
Why you got Fred Flintstone's car?
I'm not talking anymore. You won. You win. Even for pork roll, that's too much walking. Hey!
All right.
Hey
Got one
now.
in.
Pork
Got
roll.
one in.
We need a
Hey.
sign in the back like pork roll
Pork roll.
consecutive.
I got space right here. I need to put a Taylor pork roll sign or something right there.
That would be awesome. That
Yeah,
would be awesome, man. All right. So,
I'm going to find one.
Mark, how about you lead us off then with the best game you saw this year?
I didn't go to any games either. Decided to stay home.
This
You
week,
lying piece of garbage.
And for any of our studio audience that is listening, if you ever do attend a game with Mark, be prepared to not see him all night.
That does happen because the game I went to that I put on the best. Well, I did see this really awesome Kokomo Wildcats high school game with 5,000 people with this stud junior. I actually stayed and watched the game. But the game that I liked the best was the Monon Bell Classic, which is a Division III football game between two arch enemies,
Don't
Wabash,
sleep on D3. Yeah.
Wabash College and DePaul University. And they may get maybe 500 people to 1,000 people at a game at the highest. For this, 9,000 people to 10,000 people show up. And alumni, students, they travel the 37 miles between the two cities to see it. And it's everything. It was cracked up to be tailgating, bands, music. The fan base is just screaming and cussing at each other. I mean, F Wabash, F DePaul. Wabash was making fun of DePaul because they didn't have actual bathrooms at their stadium. That's how primitive it is.
Jesus.
Wabash has bathrooms. They have a much modern stadium. It's true. I was up there as well the week before. Much
Hey, I
nicer.
work at a stadium without bathrooms.
Yeah, no bathrooms. So porta potties. And you know, it's this small town and you get to the game and everything just evolves around this football game. And it was snowing that day. And it was the first time since, kid you not, that I was at any sporting event that had snow since the 1996 Grey Cup in Hamilton, Ontario. So we're talking well over 25 years. So it was great. It was great to be in that atmosphere. People were throwing snowballs. They were told not to. I mean, drunk students yelling at me because I was recording. I mean, it was such a blast. It was a blowout. The game stunk. I mean, DePaul blew out. It wasn't an exciting game from a playing perspective. It wasn't close at all. But I went with some DePaul alums and, you know, it was everything I had anticipated. It was a great time. It was cold. They had hot cocoa to warm you up. I mean, the food was just very basic food. But I had a blast. I mean, it's like you wish Division III football could be like that a little more often, not just for one game a year, but I'll take it. I'll take it. So my favorite game, because I was watching the game, I was getting into it. The bell that they fight for, I think it was donated in the 1930s, an old railroad bell, and you know Wabash is banging it the whole time. So next year, DePaul's going to be banging it, and Wabash is an all-boys school, so they don't have cheerleaders. They have like these dudes that have these red candy stripe overalls that cheer and sit on milk crates, and it's an odd little celebration that they do, but. Yeah, definitely my favorite game. Most of the games I go to, Paul's right. I don't watch the game. I walk around and just observe because I'm reporting from, you know, for Stadium Journey most of the time. So this one I actually bought a ticket, sat and watched. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
More than once I have sat next to somebody and said, how the hell is Mark on the field?
Yeah. Was that in Burlington, North Carolina?
It's happened more than once, Mark.
Oh, more than once. Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, I've done that before. I did that in Lake County this year up in Northwest Indiana. They brought me out for some trivia.
Did they get him with the taser? And was he wearing clothes while he was running across the field?
No. Nobody wants to see my
He had big water balloons in his shirt. He was reenacting Morgana the Kissing Man.
Not even my wife wants to see me neither. No, she's like, cover up, go work out.
That would be a problem.
Yeah. No, yeah. Favorite game, DePaul, snow game, cold. I like to fish out some of those more like really small schools that have those huge division rivals. I think they can put themselves up there with the big boys as well, just for that one day. So
absolutely, don't sleep on the D3, man.
No, D3, D2 as well. Let's do it.
Dave, how about yourself? Where was your favorite game of the year?
You better not have the same favorite game as me.
DePaul, Monon Bell?
I can tell you no, I don't, because I think I know where you're going.
And this is a little preview. This is going to be a first for me. This is a first year in review without any football. But I have some football.
You have football, don't lie.
Because my game of the year is Minnesota United FC 4, Portland Timbers 4.
High scoring game.
Highest scoring soccer match I've ever seen. I guess it starts right off at Allianz Field.
It was your favorite game because you sat next to me and Pam.
Yeah, well, that too. Actually, this game, and it rings in my ears because, with the World Cup on, I'd call my dad and, hey, how's it going? And my dad would complain about soccer. He's been watching the World Cup, but he complains, I don't understand how people love this game. There's just not enough scoring. So are you watching? Yeah, I'm watching. I'm retired. What else am I going to do? So
I can't wait to retire.
Yeah, 4-4. We saw the first goal was 13 seconds into the game, into the match. It was a TV game. It was on ABC, so it was a national TV audience. I don't know how that translates to what's happening on the pitch.
It was stinking hot.
It was hot. Portland scores 3 straight. Like we thought we were, assuming we're cheering for the home team, which is something I always try to do. We thought we were kind of home and cooled out, and then boom, 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 boom. Portland scores 3 in a row, including, I think what you said was the worst soccer goal in the history of soccer.
The goalie didn't hold the post and it snuck in like it was a hockey shot.
Yeah,
a hockey puck will sneak in a little space. Somehow,
it was a little weird.
In there,
I would have missed all of that.
Yeah, you would have been down at the big brew pub underneath the scoreboard.
Oh yeah.
But that brew pub.
But Minnesota scored in the 69th minute off of a corner that went off of one dude's head and then onto another dude's head before it went into the net. And I get, really the only way that this could have been better is if Minnesota would have scored that last goal to put them over the top and give them the victory. But hey, anytime you could say, I went to a soccer match, I went with one of the, people who hates the soccer the most. And he says, wow, we saw 8 goals. No, that was
be that way. Yeah.
It was absolutely great. And of course, to top it off, if I wasn't clear, this was at the Stadium Journey convention. So that just made it all that much better.
There was 13 of our correspondents there, yeah.
And right after that, we went to a baseball game. So, no, my game of the year was a match of the year. Minnesota United 4, Portland Timbers 4.
Nice, very nice. So, I actually put the bat signal out for our listeners and Stadium Journey readers for the best game of the year that they went to. And I got one response. So you all suck. But Lynn Smith did respond and said, the best game I saw in 2022 was the jaw-dropping Big Ten record-breaking game in May that appeared on ESPN and other sports outlets. I'm not exactly sure what game she's referring to. You guys?
In May?
In May.
Doesn't that have to be like, I don't know, baseball?
Oh, that's right. I was assuming she was talking about basketball.
No, basketball would be done.
Yeah, so May would have to be baseball. Big Ten baseball game. I don't know.
They must be SEC, right? No, Big Ten.
No, she said it was a Big Ten game.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure, but that was the only response we got.
Really?
Our listeners got to step it up a little bit.
Where'd you post this? On Twitter?
Twitter.
Well, that's good. We guys.
Elon got a hold of that one and gave it the old.
Yeah, maybe Elon's got me. What is it called? Shadow banned or whatever. All right, but anyway, it's my turn now.
I like shadow dancing?
I don't know. Yeah, Andy Gibb. That was a song, man. That was a good song.
That was a great song, yeah.
All right, Andy Gibb. Poor Andy Gibb.
Poor Andy Gibb. Got all the chicks.
Yeah, not for long.
No.
Okay, so let's see. By trade, I am a licensed and certified behavior analyst. So one of the tools that we use as a behavior analyst is called an ABC chart. So it's antecedent, behavior, consequence. So I'm going to tell my best game story in an ABC fashion because it's a story in 3 parts, kind of. So, Mark, you were D3 football. I'm going to talk D3 basketball.
Okay, let's do it.
So, UMass Dartmouth, the team I work for as a PA announcer, went into their conference tournament, the Little East Conference tournament, as the top seed. And I think at the time they were ranked 14th nationwide. So they cruised right to the final of the Little East Conference, which they hosted the final against Keene State. Keene State is actually ranked number 5 in the country right now. So they were an up-and-coming team. They were the biggest rivals. Keene State played an incredible game. Game came down to the wire. Keene State had a 3-pointer from the corner at the buzzer in regulation, went halfway down the basket, rolled around, and popped out.
Ooh.
So on to overtime we go. Same thing happens at the end of overtime. This time, they make the shot, take the Little East title on our home court. Incredible game, but that's not my game of the year. You know, and as a PA announcer, if any other PA announcers are listening, one of the hardest things to do is when you're the home team announcer and you've got to do the whole award ceremony for the other guys and still sound professional and still sound upbeat and still sound like you're proud of them. It's not as easy as you think. But anyway, UMass Dartmouth still qualified for the NCAA tournament as an at-large team, won their first round, so we're in the round of 32. So by losing the Little East Conference game, they blew their chance of hosting the first 2 rounds. That's how they do it in D3. You host little pods of 4 in different areas. Usually it's the top 16 teams get to host. So by losing, they fell out of the top 16, made the tournament, didn't get to host. So they had to trek up to Nazareth College in suburban Rochester, New York. We're onto the B section now. First half of the game, they went down by 15 points. And kind of went back and forth from there. They actually retook the lead once, lost the lead, retook it, lost it. Nazareth went on a run in the middle of the second half. So with 5 minutes and 46 seconds left in the game, UMass Dartmouth was down by 9. Proceeded to score the last 20-something points of the game to take the game and move on to the Sweet 16. That was my game of the year. I actually Pam and I trekked up to Rochester to catch that game. And man, I have never felt more like a celebrity in my life. When I walked into the Nazareth gym, I got cheered by all the families and all the athletic department. It's like, Paul, what the hell are you doing here? It's like, couldn't miss this. And I was rewarded by an incredible game. UMass, and the C part of the story is UMass Dartmouth went on to play the top seed in the country, Randolph-Macon, who proceeded to blow them out by about 25 points. Randolph-Macon, what an incredible story. They were in the tournament, 6 tournament games to take the title. Their average margin of victory was almost 30 points. They blew everybody out. I think UMass Dartmouth was actually their closest game. They were just a wagon rolling to the D3 title. But that is my game of the year. I'm trying to think where the name of Nazareth Gym, Cadera Gymnasium at Nazareth College in Rochester, New York. My game of the year.
Well, how far is Rochester from you?
From me, let's see, 3 hours to Albany, another hour to Utica, another hour to Syracuse, another hour to Rochester. So 6 hours.
Oh, okay. A little bit of a drive. Yeah. D3 kicking butt.
That's why everybody was surprised seeing at the game. Look at that. 2 D3 games and a soccer game in our games of the year.
You never know. You never know what we're going to talk about on these year-end shows.
That's it, man. And it just goes to show you never know where that great game or that incredible goofy play or incredible great play is going to happen. All right, so let's move on to our next category, our favorite venue of the year. Dave, would you like to start us off this time?
Sure. So my favorite venue of the year, wow, it was tough. I had to pick between 3. Well, I didn't have to. I had to pick between all of them, but
give us the runners up.
And
if the favorite venue should abdicate their throne.
Yeah, exactly. But they were 3 very, very similar vintage, very similar look, very similar feel. And one of them I talked about already. It was Allianz Field, but it didn't quite make the cut. The other one was TQL Stadium, home of FC Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
But you know what? What kind of put it over the top for me, and my stomach. So I went with my top venue for the year was Lower.com Field in Columbus, Ohio, home of the Columbus Crew. All three, like I said, all three venues, they're almost the same vintage. Basically they've been built within about either 2 or 3 years of each other. And they all have that similar sort of feel, which is now it's now the norm for Major League Soccer. They have the covered seats with kind of like the Texas Stadium hole in the middle, right? So the pitch is open, but the fans are covered. And I mean, other than protecting the fans from the elements, the other thing it does is it keeps that sound in, and it just creates such a better atmosphere. And I had been to what was at the time, it was Mapfre Stadium where the Crew used to play. I think it's called Historic Crew Stadium now. And it was wide open, right? Like the sound just dissipates. It just goes nowhere. So you have that kind of indoor feel in an outdoor venue. Sleek, black and gray, just a really sleek look. They have the supporter section, which is way cool, the Nordeca. And you know what? When it came down to all three of them, I thought, wow, Cincinnati's really cool. They got the LED lights outside. That's really wild. But Columbus, the location is that much better than all the other places. It's right down there with Nationwide Arena where the Blue Jackets play. We literally walked past Huntington Park where the Clippers play to get to the stadium. So you have all of those things that are around there too, all those restaurants and whatnot. But in Lower.com Field was a concession run by Schmidt's Sausage House.
Oh, nice.
So that was it. That just put it over the top. They had their Ginormo cream puffs. So I had one of those. They had a special Columbus Crew cream puff. It was banana with chocolate drizzle. So that just kind of put it over the top for me. But that honestly, I felt like really lucky that I was able to do all three of those in 1 year, and they were just so similar. And I brought my dad, my dad, the non-soccer liking person to Columbus with me. And we had some sort of travel snafus or whatever. And he was not originally supposed to come, but he did come because I had tickets or whatever. And I said, yeah, I know you don't like soccer, but you know what? You'll just go and you'll have fun. And he had a blast. He's like, it was so much more fun in person than it is on television. So I think you said the same sort of thing, Paul, when we were in Minnesota.
And you know what? That's what people who don't like hockey say about hockey too.
Yeah. So anyway, my favorite venue, Lower.com Field. Pete McGinty, if you're listening, your new place gets the thumbs up.
All right.
Columbus Crew.
Pete McGinty, former guest on the Stadium Journey podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, your favorite venue of the year?
So I also went to Lower.com Field in Columbus. I had a blast. I think it's probably one of my favorites above Cincinnati and Austin's QT Stadium, which I wasn't impressed. I know I'm going to tick off some Austin folks, but
they'll get over it.
It's not, they'll get over it. And maybe the area needs to be redeveloped a little bit more. Maybe it was like 100 degrees dry heat. I don't know what it was. I was like, it's okay here. But Columbus was just the food, the Nordeca like picnic area underneath it. I mean, the little outdoor street festival before. Yeah, it was a great time. So yeah, I kind of thought about me too. What did I like? I went to some cool old vintage ballparks in Texas. I like those, but I'm going to go with the vintage basketball gymnasium here in Indiana with my favorite venue. It's the Kokomo Memorial Gymnasium. It was built in 1949. And I always wanted to see a game there when it was sold out or near capacity. And I had been up there about 4 times prior to my visit just last week. Not even last week, few days ago. And they have this stud center who is just, he's the next big thing in Indiana basketball. He blocks, he dunks. He's already been recruited by 15 colleges. Tom Izzo was at the game that I was there scouting him. So hopefully he's a big time guy. And the place was electric. It wasn't quite sold out because of weather and they had a game prior, but it was near capacity. And when that place is packed and the cheer block is going nuts and the fans are screaming, I mean, it's electric. And it just feels like you're back in time watching basketball here in Indiana in the good old days. It's a good looking gym. It's nicely constructed. No bad views in the building except when you get up to the higher portions and the banners are blocking the image. They have a video board in the center now. It's a separate gym away from the school. It was built before the new school was built, and it's in downtown. It's just like when you think of a nice, small, little high school gym. Well, it's a big high school gym for us. Small for us, big for other states. It looks the part. It has the smell. It has the ambiance, the banners, the colors. It just looks like this place should be packed for every game. And it finally was after several years of attending games there. I may even go back up. It's about a little less than an hour drive, but I'll try to get up there when the weather's less icy and slippery. I saw about 3 accidents on my way there. But yeah, I'm going with a classic gymnasium. High school gym in Indiana is my favorite venue. Like I said, I've been waiting for that place to be packed for quite some time. It finally was. And I look forward to going back because I think the good times are just starting again up in Kokomo. So let's go Cats. Eat them up.
Nice. Okay. So we've got a soccer stadium, a high school. I'm going to go the opposite end of the scale. And I'm going to name my favorite venue of 2022, one that I had actually been to before, but I hadn't been to, and I looked it up, in 11 years. So the last time I had been there was 2011. I am talking about Wrigley Field.
Oh, yeah. Another classic.
In Chicago. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we are going with the classic theme. The reason I'm picking that as my favorite is when I first went to Wrigley Field, thought it was a dump. Honestly, really did. Thought the concourses were dark and old-fashioned. I thought actually, people always compare Wrigley and Fenway because, they're of the same vintage. They're about 100 years older than all the other baseball stadiums out there. But maybe this is because of Theo Epstein and what he did. They really modernized Fenway Park and kind of blended the old and the new in a very nice way. They've kind of done the same thing in Chicago. So I know that even just driving into the neighborhood, into Wrigleyville, I was astounded at how nice and more modern everything looked. It still had that nice touch of, what do I want to call it? Not grunge, but dive bars and stuff. There's still some of those if that's what you like. But everything else looked really newer and cleaner. And then that old plaza outside of Wrigley that was before, I think it was just a parking lot. There was really nothing there. It wasn't utilized for anything. It's now an open plaza where you can hang out before the game and you can play some cornhole and you got other things going on.
Thanks.
You've got the giant team store out there now where you can get all kinds of stuff. It's not just the guys with the t-shirt carts and stuff. And then when you go inside, where it used to be, at least on my last visit, it was grungy and dark and dank. It's well lit and well paved and bright, and it just looked wonderful. Then when you go inside the field, it's Wrigley Field. They haven't really messed with a whole lot on the inside. I mean, yeah, they've got some video boards up there on either side that the folks in the bleachers across the street must not be too fond of, but they're there and they don't really detract from the experience. So I just really enjoyed Wrigley Park in a way that I hadn't during my last visit. So that is my favorite venue of 2022. And I got to, sing Go Cubs Go at the end because they beat the Marlins. So it was and I got to see an afternoon weekday game at Wrigley. So always something I wanted to do. The first time I went, it was a night game.
Mm-hmm. That's always fun during the day.
And for the 7th inning stretch, it was right after Vin Scully passed away. So for the 7th inning stretch, they played a recording of Vin Scully singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." So it was just a great afternoon, and that was my favorite venue of 2022.
All right, sounds great. That's a fun time. Wrigley game at Wrigley during the day cannot beat that.
Exactly. It was something I always wanted to experience. The day game at Wrigley.
Yeah, I've done day games. I think all my games have been day, which I never even thought about that. They've all been day games.
All right, so that wraps up our favorite venues. Let's move on to our favorite city. Mark, you want to lead us off this time?
All right, this one was pretty easy. It's Detroit, Michigan, the Big D. I had a blast up there, and my experience with Detroit, 20 years ago, when I used to zip through there across the Ambassador Bridge, was to get to Canada as fast as possible, because you didn't want to get gas, you didn't want to ask for directions, you didn't want to do anything in Detroit, you just want to get through. And every now and then I would drive by Old Tiger Stadium, and I would just be like, man, I gotta get out of here. That's not the case anymore. There's a lot going on in the ballpark area where Ford Field is and Co-America and Little Caesars. I went there for a game. I saw a couple Tigers games. I hung around before one of the games on Sunday. Went to some of the bars, rooftop bars, had a beer, talked to people about it. Beautiful, beautiful atmosphere. The Riverwalk. I wish I would have spent a lot more time there. And I wish I would have hung out in some other parts of the town as well. The nice parts. There's some iffy parts, but no, Detroit's a great place to be. You see people walking around, you see people taking pictures. Parts where there used to look like a dirge. It was just dark and dank, like you said, Wrigley Field. It's kind of now full of life. There's a lot of people coming in and experiencing things. I had a couple conies at Lafayette and All American. I went to Hamtramck.
Can I tell you? Can I interrupt you? Those suck.
Yeah. They suck. Yeah,
they both sucked. I've
it's
had
weird.
Much better hot dogs, many places.
No, I would tell you this: the ones I had in Providence, was that the New York,
the New York system?
Yeah, those are better.
Yes.
Yeah, those are better. And there's
Absolutely.
a place in Fort Wayne that makes a better coney.
Yes.
Yeah. Those. Yeah, the All American and Lafayette. Every now and then I'll go there and I'm like, oh, that one was better than the other. Every time I go back, I like the other one. But,
that's right. That was going to be my next question. Which one did you like?
But yeah, they're fine, and there's some other.
Fine. When I say suck, I just mean they're not.
Yeah, they're fine. The chili's a little different. It's. But even that area used to be a little bit dodgy. So Hamtramck, there's a place called Amara's Pizza, which makes pizza with some Middle Eastern Bangladesh spices, like dried fish and some tandoori chicken. That was amazing. You have Detroit City FC, who had 7,000 people at their stadium. Hamtramck Stadium, one of the oldest, one of the only Negro League stadiums still around, was recently renovated. That's being used again for baseball, for youth tournaments and amateur games. You also have Royal Oak, which is a suburb. They took a small little ballpark, help through some friendly donation by DJ LeMahieu, and turned that into a nice summer collegiate ballpark in the Great Lakes League. So yeah, I was having a time up there, and I easily could have stayed a few more days. I ventured into Toledo, which I guess technically is a separate town, but yeah, I like to go back because it's hockey season. Check out the Red Wings. Head over to Ypsilanti and it's Ann Arbor. Ooh, check out Yost Arena, maybe Ypsilanti for something else. But yeah, Detroit, and it's only a 4-hour drive. It's not a bad drive. It's just a city that I never thought I would spend time in, because I'll tell you this before I leave. 2005, I went to see my first Tigers game, and I was crossing the border into Windsor, Canada. And the custom guy goes, "What are you coming to Canada for?" And I said, "I'm going to go see a Detroit Tigers game." He's like, "You're coming to Canada to see a Detroit Tigers game?" I'm like, "Would you want to spend the night in Detroit?" And he's like, "Yeah, good choice. Go ahead." Not the case. I would spend the night somewhere in the suburbs of Detroit. Maybe not Detroit, but just because I don't want to pay for parking at the downtown hotels. But yeah, Detroit, it's coming up. And anybody who's listening that maybe has the same thoughts about Detroit like I did, go back and check it out. There's also some great museums that I haven't even discussed yet. The Ford Museum, the City Museum. I mean, there is some great spot to spend your time up there. Motown, another great museum to go to as well. If you like the history of music or have a soul, you should enjoy that as well. So Detroit, number 1 for 22.
Nice. Yeah, that stadium district is definitely up and coming.
Yeah, Fox Theater as well.
And I love that they still use Tiger Stadium before they made it into the youth stadium that it is now.
The corner ballpark.
Yeah, we brought our gloves, and it was just an empty field, basically.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I went there as well. They renovated that. They made it into a smaller ballpark with artificial turf. That area is up and coming. There's apartments and restaurants opening up. Don't know what that's going to be in the future, but it looks like a place to be. I saw a 7-on-7 flag football tournament when I was there for little kids, and that was a lot of fun as well. So I spent a lot of time watching sporting events throughout the Detroit area this summer, and like I said, it was a blast. Can't wait to go back.
You know, you mentioned Ypsilanti there. They're celebrating in Ypsilanti like as we speak, because Eastern Michigan won only their second bowl game in history today.
Oh, okay. Well, glad we broued them up. There's another reason. I went
to a bowl game last week. I got a bone to pick with our buddy Andrew Bowes, man. I was very disappointed in the whole thing.
You went to the shitty bowl.
I did. I really did. The Fenway Bowl was lousy. Everything about it was lousy. Everything.
Well, this is funny. So Eastern Michigan wins their second bowl game ever. They were in the Potato Bowl, and they were playing San Jose State. Guess who they beat in their first bowl victory ever?
San Jose State?
San Jose State. Yes, we'll go to that bowl game only if San Jose State is playing.
Hook us up with a win, please. All right, Dave, your favorite city of 2022.
My favorite city of 2022 is really close to San Jose State. It's San Francisco.
Nice. One of my favorite cities in the country.
I didn't do a ton of sports there this go around, so I'm actually going to kind of stretch San Francisco, because the reality is that there's so much more. Like, you got that whole Bay Area, right? So we were there in October this year, and actually the only sports I did was I walked down to Oracle Park, which is, it's got to be in just about everybody's top 5 Major League Baseball parks if you've been. I mean, it's absolutely one of the best. So I walked down there, walked around outside that, McCovey Cove and whatnot. Also walked down to see the Chase Center, which is the new arena for the, I was going to say the San Francisco Warriors, but I'm sure they'll be the San Francisco Warriors soon enough, for the Golden State Warriors. And they had a nice little plaza out front and a couple things. So I haven't had the opportunity to go in there. But we did some sports outside. We did go to a San Jose Sharks game. But you got a lot of stuff around there. Of course, you have Oakland across the bay. You have Berkeley across the bay. You have Stanford, which is a big college town, kind of halfway between San Jose and San Francisco. Santa Clara's got college as well. So they're all kind of there. Santa Clara is where the 49ers play now. I got to say, our buddy Dre, who's a huge San Francisco 49ers fan, I went to Levi's Stadium, went to the 49ers Hall of Fame, and I was kind of disappointed. They didn't. You know what? If you're going to a Hall of Fame that's in a stadium, you should actually be able to see the field at some point. And we were not even permitted to go up the stairs just to look at the field. So
really,
that was a bummer.
Jesus.
And they had some, the interactive exhibits there. Like, almost all of them were broken. So,
hi.
Yeah, it was way too right into what they're, saying. You really had to know your 49ers history to get a lot out of it. But yeah, I mean, we had a blast out there. As far as, oh my gosh, tourism, like, there's so many things you can do. You could go to Alcatraz, you could go to Pier 39, Ghirardelli Square, the Painted Ladies. We actually got to go into one of the Painted Ladies, which is, of course, the houses that they have at the beginning of Full House.
I thought they didn't like having all those people around in that neighborhood anymore.
Too late.
They don't.
What's it? Alamos something is called.
But somebody decided to make some money off it, right?
Yeah, the guy who runs tours, and mostly, I think they're mostly corporate tours, because that's what we had, corporate tour. he donates all the money. Well, not all of it, but all the proceeds go to a couple charities. It was his mom's house, and but it was interesting. A lot of history there. Hidden gem, and this might have been my highlight of San Francisco, outside of eating and whatnot. Go down to Pier 45. There is a place called the Musée Mécanique, and it is the oldest of old school arcades going. So you don't have they do have some, Pac-Man and whatnot, but like a ton of like pinball machines and those creepy fortune teller things. And I played this pinball baseball game from like 1931, and it was just really fascinating. Hidden gem, Musée Mécanique. It's at like Pier 45, right on the bay there. So my favorite city of the year, San Francisco.
Nice. I love San Francisco. It's been a long time since I've been there.
Yeah, one of my dad's favorite cities in the United States. He lived there too for a little while.
All right, I'm up next. If you are, watching our live tweets on Twitter, you'll realize that I jumped the gun and already posted mine, so you know what I'm about to say.
Oh, I didn't see that.
My favorite city of 2022. It's actually 2 cities, but I'm going to count them as one for today's purposes. If Dave can count a whole Bay Area, I can count the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Oh, yeah.
So my decision came down to Minneapolis and Chicago, because I visited both, and I love Chicago, but I've never called it my favorite. The reason I picked Minneapolis is because, like Dave, you were saying, you got to do all kinds of stuff in San Francisco. In Minneapolis, we were there for 3 days, and we did a ton. When we were in Chicago, we were there for 3 days and went to 5 baseball games and did a little touristy stuff. So I feel like I got to see more of the Twin Cities.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Plus, we got to see a lot of games. We saw the Minnesota FC. We saw the St. Paul Saints. We caught a Twins game. And who else did I see there? I saw one other game there. Oh, went down and saw the Rochester Honkers in Rochester, Minnesota. That's not actually in the Twin Cities. It was about an hour and a half away, but it was still a lot of fun. And in Rochester, Minnesota, I went to what is now my favorite brew pub in the nation, Foragers Brewery in Rochester, Minnesota. Best food I've ever had in a bar. Bar
Not
none.
Surly?
Bar none.
Really?
And the beer was pretty damn good too. And they had a live jazz jam band going on, so that was just a fun night. But anyway, Minneapolis. Besides the excellent sports facilities there, and they've got a brand new football stadium, which I heard is incredible. They've got the Target Center, which I haven't visited yet. You've got University of Minnesota. So you got a lot to do in the area. And if you're there in the summertime, the Northwoods League has teams all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we got to visit Rochester and see the Honkers, which was false advertising because their mascot is a goose. Anyway, nobody laughed. I'm sorry.
They honk.
Right? Yeah, gooses honk, yes. But in Minneapolis, like Dave was saying, he did a lot of stuff besides sports. We went to, they have that outdoor sculpture garden, which is just amazing. And it's got great views of the downtown skyline. It took some, that famous sculpture of the spoon with the cherry on it is there, and they've got a whole bunch of other ones. And right next to that sculpture garden is a little town ball field. So we actually caught a little bit of a ball game while we were there.
Parade Stadium.
Yeah, that's right. That's right there. What else did we do? Fifth Avenue was there. We checked that out. Like any kind of band that goes through plays at Fifth Avenue.
Or First Avenue.
First Avenue?
Yeah.
Maybe First Avenue. Whatever. Prince made it famous. Speaking of Prince, you can go tour Paisley Park Studios if you so desire. What else? Food. We had some Juicy Lucy's. I'm not a huge fan of Juicy Lucy's. I'm going to be honest with you.
They're good. But there's always a long wait for them.
It's a double cheeseburger with the cheese in the middle. I mean, okay, great. I've had some good ones. I've had some not so good ones. So, oh, geez, what else did we want? I don't know. We had all kinds of stuff. We did all kinds of stuff. So Minneapolis.
Did you take the mill tour? The old mill that blew up?
No, but yeah, that's another tourist attraction there. And you got the Mall of America. We did not do. We had done that actually last time we were there, so didn't need to go see a mall again. If you're a baseball fan, the Mall of America is built on the site of the old Metropolitan Stadium. So inside the mall, they have the seat where Harmon Killebrew's, was it his 400th home run or his last home run or his longest home run? But it's there. It's one of those three, and it's way up on a wall. Mall of America has an amusement park inside of it, an actual amusement park with rides and little roller coasters and things that go around. So the chair, it's a single chair, way up on the wall, maybe 50 feet up in the air, all by itself. And you say, "What the hell is that chair?"
It was his longest home run, 522 feet.
Okay, and it's way up there. So I wonder, is the chair 500? Because you can stand at home plate. They got home plate marked out on the ground. Now that's tough to find, but it's right near SpongeBob's roller coaster. And you can stand there and you can look out and see where he hit that longest home run. So I don't know if that's 500 feet away, but it was pretty far. So you can even do a little shopping and do a little baseball history. So my city of the year, Minneapolis, St. Paul. All right, so that brings us to, actually, this is my favorite category of the four. I mean, the other categories are awesome. They're solid. But this one, the biggest surprise. Where did we go where we weren't expecting much and we just got blown away by the experience? I know in the past, one of mine was the Cal Baptist Event Center. So a place like that, where we got off an airplane, went to a basketball game, expecting this little dinky gymnasium, and what we got was this modern, brand new, shiny 5,000-seat basketball arena. So we're looking at something like that, something where you weren't expecting something and you just had a great time. So, Dave, are you going first for this one?
Sure. I guess a sort of side surprise was I was surprised when I was in Quebec how many guys were drinking like seltzers instead
of beer. It's a thing now.
Yeah. I was really surprised by that.
Well, did they have all man buns too?
No.
Big beards?
And they were like pounding them back like they were beer too. It was, I don't know. It was surprising.
Do they have any alcohol in them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when Mike's Hard Lemonade and stuff like that came out. People would drink those things like crazy. And
Bartles and James.
Yeah, now they're dead.
Oh God, I was too young for my friends to be drinking Bartles and James. Like
my
commercials were awesome.
Yeah,
my biggest surprise was really an event. My biggest surprise was March 19th, 2022. It was in Gatineau, Quebec at Centre Slush Puppy, the brand new home of the Gatineau Olympique, where I got to see Yves Gascon play goal for the Olympique. She was the first female to play in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League in over 20 years. And it was her first game. And now, the way it worked out, the Olympique had some injuries over time, and this was kind of building. They had brought her up from Junior B, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it brought a whole different feeling to that game, and the support that was there. The locals were like right into her journey, I guess. They were right behind her, almost more than the team itself. So unfortunately the Olympique lost 5-4 in overtime. She did look a little nervous or whatnot right off the top. Like, I think she let in the first shot, but over time it kind of built, and it was a neat experience. And when I planned on going to Gatineau, I was not planning to go and see Yves Gascon, but there she was. So it was her first game. She ended up playing 2 during the season, and I got to be honest, I'm not sure what she's doing now. But that was my surprise of the year.
Oh, she's not back this year?
No.
Huh. What did she? So she ended up. She played 2 games. Did she win either of them, or?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to type in. All right, so that's awesome. Mark, how about your biggest surprise of 2020?
Biggest surprise is a stadium that is, I think, currently being knocked down right now. So how about that for the list? It's Ned Skelton Stadium in Maumee, Ohio.
They're knocking that down?
They're knocking it down. I'm looking at videos of it. Former home of the Toledo Mudheads, and A long history dating back well before baseball. It was a former racetrack. So when I went to Detroit, I drove back home to Indianapolis, and I drove from downtown, and I took some side streets, and I found myself in downtown Maumee.
Isn't that weird where they used to put those ballparks right in these residential neighborhoods?
Well, yeah, exactly. It was nowhere because they had the old ballpark was in Toledo, and then they folded, and then they wanted to bring baseball back. So some civic leaders, I think Ned Skelton was one of them, said, "Hey, let's convert this racetrack into a ballpark. People drive now, so nobody wants to be downtown." So yeah, you're right. It's way out of downtown Toledo, and it was at the fairgrounds. It wasn't any spectacular place except when we compare ballparks, it's amazing to think that was the stadium for so many years. 65 to 02 they played. So I'm driving through Maumee, and I see the Maumee movie theater, and I'm like, oh, I'm in Maumee. Isn't the old ballpark near here? So took a couple turns. Boom, there it was. And as I kind of rolled to the back to take some pictures, I saw some people playing baseball. I'm like, what the heck? So got out of my car, walked through the left field fence. There was about 7 people watching the game from the grandstand in a 12,000 seat stadium. And
with trees growing up through the grandstand and everything still?
The grandstand, it looked deserted. It looked bad, but it didn't look as bad as trees growing through it and dangerous places.
Oh, they must have cleared it up since I visited.
Yeah,
I once did the same thing you did.
Yeah, it was cleared by the time I got up there. However, I think they didn't really want anybody walking up on the grandstand, and here I am hitting every spot I could get. And it's home of a baseball league, over 45-year-old baseball league that has about 8 teams. They get players from all over the area, even from Detroit. And there's about 6 or 7 teams in the league this year. And I just hung out watching baseball on a Sunday evening. I still had about a good 3 hours to drive home. And I'm like, screw it. We're going to hang out here because I knew I wasn't going to get back up here because they had told me, hey, this is the last year we're playing here. They're going to knock it down. They're going to probably keep the field, but the whole grandstand seats will be donated. It's all going to be gone. So here I am just walking around the stadium. You can check out my YouTube video of Ned Skelton. Biggest surprise, was not expecting to be in an old former ballpark. I thought it was I knew it wasn't knocked down. I just thought it was, locked up and, you would have to sneak in by climbing a wall or something, which I wasn't going to do. And this was just a gate was open. I got to see some baseball guys older than me still playing for the love of the game. Wearing uniforms that were quite nice. I mean, these guys were legit. They weren't running as fast as they probably did about 20 years ago, 30, but it was a lot of fun. I had a great time. I really wish I had a few more days. I easily could have just watched the whole game and just hung around Toledo a little bit more. There's things to see there as well. But yeah, that was the biggest surprise. I was not expecting to see that. And unfortunately, it is being knocked down as we speak, or maybe it is knocked down. Who knows? I feel like you get pieces of information from Toledo. They don't want to tell you anything. They're secretive about their infrastructure. So, but you can check out the video. I have it for prosperity on YouTube. So enjoy.
Yeah, I did the same thing on one of my trips through Toledo. Yeah. I went and checked it out, and yeah, it's part of a whole big complex. They've got a whole bunch of different fields there, softball, baseball fields, and they were at the time. This was, maybe 10 years ago. They were still letting people sit in the grandstand, but there were trees growing up. And I used to work with a player who used to play in the major leagues, and he spent quite a bunch of years in the International League, and was absolutely amazed by the pictures I took from
nice.
Ned Skelton Field. So
yeah, no, and I got a lot of good pictures and videos because, there were some nice little nostalgia. Like there was the old garbage can was still there. There was a doorway leading to, I think, like an adult club. It said no minors allowed. Just like little things like that. You couldn't walk down to the concourse below. That was sealed off. There might have been there was like trees underneath the grandstands. That's the only time I saw them. But yeah, it's end of an era. And it's amazing that was up there for 20 years abandoned.
I think places like that, like Thurman Munson Field and Canton and all those places, they just built them in weird spots where we wouldn't build it.
I mean, different way of thinking about minor league baseball back then. I think people were doing things on the cheap, and then somebody opened up a place like Waterfront Stadium in Trenton, New Jersey, or Toledo's Fifth Third Field, and it's like, yep, this is how we want them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great little hidden gem.
Oh,
Dave, we were talking about Yves Gascon just a minute ago.
Yep.
You had a little information on it. Do you want to share it just in case anybody's curious?
So actually, Yves Gascon did win her second game, not the game that I went to, but the second game. This year, she's playing at a Cégep in Quebec, and she's and Cégep is kind of like junior college. That's the best kind of comparison I can give it, because in Quebec they have their own sort of system. And she is set to she's committed to go to Minnesota Duluth for next season. And play women's hockey. All
right, so
like it.
And for those of you who aren't familiar with women's college hockey, Minnesota Duluth is one of the top programs in the nation. So, so she's got a future ahead of her. Maybe I'll see her in the NWHL in a few years.
There you go.
Okay, so for my biggest surprise of the year, you guys went kind of smallish, huh?
PHF.
Oh my goodness, I did do that, didn't I? That's all right.
Hey, we all make mistakes on here. I said Central New Jersey one time, right? Is that correct?
No, that's a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's ignorance. That's different.
All right. So I went a little bigger for my biggest surprise because, as Dave has mentioned earlier in the show, I'm not a fan of soccer. I actually worked for Gillette Stadium, and I slogged through 7 soccer seasons. And probably one of the worst places in the MLS. But I went to another MLS venue this year, as Dave was talking about, Allianz Stadium in St. Paul, home of Minnesota United FC. And as my wife can testify, when we walked through those doors and first saw the pitch, I just stopped and said, wow. And then a couple minutes later says, why the hell can't we get something like that out here? But I just thought the whole the setup is not fancy. It's simple stadium with the one concourse that goes right around the pitch, and some seats down below, some seats up above, and I had the nice covering overhead. Since the MLS season starts in February, that's probably really nice to have in St. Paul. Keep a little bit of the heat in, and it's not like a dome. It didn't cover the whole stadium, so that the pitch is exposed to the elements, but the fans are protected. So it wasn't so nice the day we were there because it was 90+ degrees. But still, great stuff all around the stadium. That beer hall at one end of the stadium had to be the most popular place in the facility. Man, it was packed from the moment we got there an hour before the game until the end of the game. And the supporter section is the one thing soccer has that the other sports just don't have. I mean, we talk about maybe college sports having that a little bit with the atmosphere and the pep band and the student sections. But man, supporter sections just take that the next notch above. So everything about Allianz Field, I just loved it. And we did an obstructed views about it. And Dave said, so does this make you want to go to more soccer matches? And I said, yeah, now I'll consider it. Absolutely. If more of them are like Allianz Field or close to it, I will be there. So
that was stay away from NYCFC for a few years.
They're building a new one, right?
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Actually, the schedule came out. They're not quite splitting, but about a third of their games are going to be at Citi Field this year.
Nice. Is that
better?
Worse? Yeah. Is that better?
I would think it's a good transition point since the new soccer stadium's going to be built out in Queens. So
yeah. Well, I'm hoping they knock down all those like chop shops and used auto parts that have lined Flushing Meadows since I was a kid, and make that into like a party destination with the soccer field, baseball, the tennis academy, just have it like a kind of like a little battery section they have outside of Atlanta. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. With the New England Revolution, how come they don't build a cool soccer specific stadium? Just no interest. They're fine with.
They've been trying. Let's
Gillette?
see. The MLS has been around for this was their 25th season this year.
96. They started.
They've
so
been
just
trying
about.
for 25 years to get one. The problem is, Foxborough's out. Bob Kraft owns all the land all around in miles in every direction around Gillette, but.
Could they build something in Boston in a neighborhood?
That's the goal. All their fans.
Is that impossible?
Nobody wants to come to Foxborough for a soccer game. I mean, and most of their fans come from Boston or come from Providence.
Yeah.
So they've been looking in one city or the other. And for those of you who are familiar with Boston sports or Boston politics, look how long it took the Bruins to get a replacement for the Boston Garden. And where did it end up? Right 9 inches away from the old one. The Red Sox back in the 70s tried to get a new stadium to replace Fenway Park.
That's true.
Couldn't do it. So they're still at Fenway Park. The Patriots, they didn't want to be in Foxborough. But that's the only place they could build it. So
No, you're absolutely right. Boston, I talked to an old PR guy years ago. He's like, hey, nobody thought that team was going to survive in Boston. So it's like, okay, go to Foxborough, have fun.
Yeah. So while they've been trying and there's been proposal after proposal and plan after plan, it just hasn't happened. So
yeah, and that's too bad because if you think about all the stadiums in the MLS, they want them in a walkable neighborhood. At Foxborough, it's definitely
you could walk to nothing. Well, they do have the
unless it's
place now, but
unless the place has been built up. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you'd like to see that because you're right. Minnesota, Cincinnati, Columbus, Austin.
In this show alone, we talked about
Nashville. They have beautiful soccer specific stadiums that, really catapult the fan experience to a next level. And if you're used to seeing games in New England, you don't know better. It's like, hey, wait a minute, I'd like to have this.
And there's nothing wrong with going to a game at Gillette. It's just when I stepped into Allianz Field, I was transported into a new world. It's like stepping up from Ned Skelton Field up to Fifth Third Park.
Yep. Same. Yeah, I can see that. Good analogy.
It would be. I don't know if this could ever happen, but it would be a whole different world if you could draw like Sounders or Atlanta United crowds
possibly
out to Foxborough, right? But I don't know how they would do that now at this point, right? Like those are teams that were drawing those big, massive numbers right out of the gate, and to build from 20,000 to 40,000 or 50,000, that's a really
and we kind of got off on this tangent, but I don't know if the Revs could draw that much if they open the top. They keep the top closed because I don't think they want just a couple of thousand or a few thousand up in those upper decks. So it's easier just to cap it at the lower decks.
Well, they'd have to have that lower deck completely sold out for them to consider opening up the top. And by the sounds of it, they don't have it completely sold out. So
they come close. They average about 19,000 with the lower deck. I think capacity is 20. So and I went to Gillette Stadium for a soccer game earlier this year too. So I guess I hit the top and the bottom of the MLS. The rest is just the meat in the sandwich. All right, so that is our. Oh, Dan, any comments from the gallery?
No, not a one.
No,
he's fired.
Yeah, jeez.
Boy, tough night. It's the holidays. People are busy.
Last one of the year. It's 20.
I'm down.
You're lucky I'm on medicine.
I can tell one of our regulars, Ash, is not in there today because I saw.
No, she's not. She's at she's at a Christmas party.
Yeah, you see that dress? She's not listening to the podcast today. She is all dressed up. All right, so that's all the time we have for tonight. We want to thank everyone for listening. And you know what? Don't feel free, even if you're watching this at a later date, you're watching this on YouTube, there are comments you can give there. Feel free to chime in. Let us know what your favorites of 2022 were. And we'll get started on 2023 real soon. So Dan, where can our listeners follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Dan. Well, you follow me on all social media platforms at DanLaw83.
And for those of you who don't know, Dan did make an appearance earlier this week on the Preston and Steve show. WMMR. So you can find that too if you look it up.
Right there. That's them.
Yeah, Preston and Steve action figures.
Here's my.
He's gonna play with them when we get off the air tonight.
It's
bobblehead.
The Philadelphia Wings did them.
Bobbleheads.
And that's before they moved and left their headquarters in Conshohocken right around the
original
corner.
Wings.
So whatever. But yes, Preston and Steve have bobbleheads from Philadelphia Wings. Nice. And they didn't even see them.
That's awesome. Yeah, check out Dan's appearance. It was awesome.
Thank you.
I'm just saying that because you're my friend.
And I'll watch it after tonight's episode.
Listen, I was doing that.
You were.
Once I heard Invisible Touch, I was like, all right, we're good.
I know that they play that because they know you're a huge Genesis fan. Is that your favorite Genesis song, or?
No, sorry.
I wouldn't think so. No, I wouldn't.
Sorry,
think so.
I'm not editing that. Well, I'll edit that.
Misunderstanding.
No, God,
but it's got like the peppy intro to it. So
yeah. What's my favorite Genesis song? That's not fair.
That's like asking who your favorite child is.
I can answer that one.
Yeah, me.
Don't ask me. Well, Zuri. My favorite dog.
I just married one off last week, so now I got.
I can't answer. I can't answer that.
Duke's Travel.
Wow. All right. What? Pulling out the obscure references, brother. Jeez. Me and Sarah. I always answer
Behind the Lines.
Me and Sarah Jane's fantastic. I love that song. Here, we'll do it by era since you mentioned it.
Okay.
Right now, the Gabriel era, Can Utility and the Coastliners. Collins era, me and Sarah Jane, Small Talk from the album nobody listened to after Phil left.
Be forever, right?
There, we're done. What did you just say? What did you say?
A Trick of the Tail is a great song from like the progressive rock days. Yeah,
it's a great song.
No, Genesis. That's something. Those guys were always on the radio back in the '80s into the '90s.
What's Mark pulling these goddamn references of Genesis out all of a sudden?
Never knew this about Mark, did you?
Goddamn 6 years, and he's pulling out Duke's Travels and Trick of the Tail. What the hell?
I like Misunderstanding. That's a song that when it comes on, just.
I have a Duke. I can't move. I'll send you a picture in the chat, but right above the camera shot is a Duke poster.
Yeah,
for when they released the album, and Phil's wearing a Vancouver Canucks jersey, and that's why I put it up. It's one of my favorite posters.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
But enough about me. But about you guys.
That was great, Mark. Where can our listeners follow you? And you got any trips planned for the next couple of weeks before we join together again?
Yeah, you can follow me at the Ballpark Hunter YouTube. I got some great videos. I have some great podcasts coming up on the Ballpark Hunter channel. I interview somebody from the Falkland Islands Hockey Association. They took an old minor league hockey jersey from New Jersey from years ago and they made it their own. You can check that article out on Stadium Journey, the brand new Stadium Journey website. Feel free, won't cost you anything, and make you a little smarter too. So follow me on Ballpark Hunter on Twitter as well and Instagram. Where am I going? I'm going to Chicago to see the family, so may try to get some tickets to see the Blackhawks or Northwest basketball. That doesn't work out. I get my trachea out. No, may take a drive to Evansville. Check out the Evansville Thunderbolts at the Ford Center, so all the Southern Professional Hockey League fans can chastise me on Facebook again. And then there's the Southern Indiana University. They became D1, and they have a couple years old arena that I would like to review. And there's some high school venues there I'd like to check out. So may go down to Southern Indiana, Don Manley and Gil Hodges land to check out some basketball and hockey. So we'll see. We'll see if that all works out. It's the holidays. Things change. We're supposed to get like a lot of snow. So that can...
Are you getting that super cold that's coming through too in your neck of the woods?
It's getting cold. Actually, it wasn't that bad today. I was just wearing this sweater outside with no jacket, but everybody says we're going to have a white Christmas. I don't know if that's true or not. So we'll find out.
60 below wind chill in Denver tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't miss that.
Yeah.
Goody.
All right, Dave. Where can our listeners follow you? And you got anything planned? You do have lots planned for the next.
Do I have
fortnight.
anything planned? Hello.
Big trip winner.
Big trip winner. I'm going to make my very first ever trip to the Lone Star State.
Really?
Never been.
Nice. Get some barbecue.
Really?
Man, are we packing it in. So Jackson and I are driving. Everybody else is flying. So why drive?
That'll be
so
fun.
You can stop places on the way and stop places on the way back. So here's my itinerary. Oklahoma City Thunder, Texas Christian Horned Frogs basketball, Dallas Mavericks, Texas Arlington Mavericks basketball, Dallas Stars, the rodeo. We're going to the rodeo in Fort Worth. They do rodeo every Friday and Saturday night. Southern Methodist Mustangs basketball.
I drove by that rodeo yard. It looked interesting.
Yeah, in Fort Worth. Fun. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
Dallas Sidekick Soccer, right?
Arkansas Razorbacks basketball. Bellarmine.
In Kentucky?
Bellarmine Knights basketball.
Yeah. Freedom Hall.
And go to the Cotton Bowl. Last second throw in there. So you can follow all those adventures on Twitter and Instagram at ProFan9.
So, Amy, you once said you don't want Dave turning into me. Guess what? He's worse than I ever was.
I was just at Bellarmine in January. Went to the Knights game in January. Freedom Hall.
No. What she meant was she didn't want to have to tag along to all of the stuff.
So you're driving all the way to Dallas.
You know what? Pam may have reached her
driving.
limit because she doesn't tag along as much as she used to.
No, okay.
I may do that. I may just drive just to tag Texas and meet up with you, just because I have the time.
and I'm forcing my son to stop with me when we head back north. Our first stop on the way back is going to be to South Fork, which is, of course, the ranch from the TV show Dallas.
So,
that's a real place.
Yeah. Is that still popular? Because
I don't know. I'll let you know, but
it could be.
Nobody wants to go to that with me at all.
Well, I mean, Andy Gibb, Victoria Principal, Pam, Dallas.
Can you go stand in the grass field that was the sportatorium? Just stand there.
You know what? I'll see if I can drive by and take a picture of where it used to be for you.
Look, grass.
Definitely get some barbecue in Dallas. You won't be disappointed.
The corner of Cadence and Industrial.
Are you still going to be in Fort Wayne for the one basketball game?
No, we're heading the other way. We were thinking about it, but it was going to take us longer to go that way. So that's why we're going to Kentucky.
Okay. You're not driving through Indianapolis at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. I see where you're going.
I'd throw snowballs at you.
So you're going through Dayton?
Probably.
Okay, 75. Yeah, I know where you're going. Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
All right, and let's see. My turn. For me, you can follow me online at PuckmanRI. I am on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I don't have many followers. I got like 40, but they're all awesome. The next couple of weeks, let's see. Christmas being on a weekend really mess with me. Actually, there might be a big event for the UMass Dartmouth crowd tonight. Coach Brian Baptiste, the team is playing down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the tournament. I can't think of the name of the tournament, but he is going for his 700th career victory. He is the leading all-time active coach in wins. So, well, we may have another ceremony to do next year when they get back to southeastern Massachusetts. Where am I headed next couple weeks? I'm taking a road trip next weekend. Not as big as Dave's.
No.
The Providence Bruins are playing in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hershey does a whole bunch of stuff for New Year's Eve. So we're going down to the Giant Center New Year's Eve. We got our tickets already. And on the way back, we haven't decided where we're going to go. Here are our choices for New Year's Day. So that would be the Sunday. We got the New York Giants. We got the New Jersey Devils. And if either of those, right now, those are a little expensive for Pam, but we'll probably end up doing one of those two. But if not, if she decides to cheap out on me, NCAA basketball, we got a choice of Manhattan Jaspers, Iona Gales, Temple Owls, or Fairfield Stags.
Well, where do we need a review from?
All four of them. All 4 of those.
Do all 4. Tell Pam all
they're
4.
all at the same time. I don't know if that's possible.
Well, I know Stephen Key's doing the Devils game, but yeah.
Somebody's doing the Devils, I think, and the Giants. I don't know if anybody did the Giants. So
the giant sardine can, is that what somebody referred to it as?
If Pam has her way, it will be the Devils. So
yeah,
probably be the Devils.
Yeah, bring them some mojo. They've lost.
I don't want to. They're right behind Boston. I don't want.
They lost it. They lost. I don't know. They've lost the last week.
All right. So
well, they're not doing real hot right now.
I know. Don't remind me. Okay.
I will not. 3-0.
Yeah.
So that's what.
That's all it is. Okay. I thought.
So remember, you can find most of our 2,500 stadium reviews. You can find a sprinkling of news items and some other feature stories. Our Major League Baseball rankings article is coming out on Christmas Day, so Merry Christmas from Stadium Journey.
No.
Find that at our new website, stadiumjourney.com. Connect with us on our social media channels at Stadium Journey. If you're looking for audio versions of the Stadium Journey podcast, search HIAC Talk Radio Network wherever you look for your favorite podcasts. Video simulcast can be found on Stadium Journey's YouTube page, and you can, at no charge, join us for our live streams every other Tuesday night at 7 Eastern-ish at danlaw.tv. We will be back.
I'll take charge.
Yeah, you can actually pay for it.
I will take charge.
Dan is not too proud.
Either subscribe or paypal.me//4/danlaw83.
In 2 weeks, we're going to get back together. Excuse me. 3 weeks? What's the date on that, Dave?
I have no friggin' idea.
The 10th? January the 10th? We will be joined by Ashvin Ladd. Am I correct?
Yep.
I got his name right. Awesome. Awesome me. And we're going to be talking about the World Cup. He was there in guitar. So we're going to talk about the venues.
He doesn't write for us anymore, does he?
I don't believe he does.
He did. He wrote really well.
He did, yes. So we'll talk about the World Cup venue. So that will be wicked awesome. So as always, thanks everybody for your support and for tuning in. For Dan, Mark, and Dave, this is Paul, wishing you all safe stadium journeys and close games. Get out down the road, 2023. 12 months till our next end of the year episode. See you soon, guys.